Good afternoon to everyone. I will call this regular meeting of Council of the Municipality of Jasper to order for July 2nd. It's 1:30 p.m. Trust everybody enjoyed a very full Canada Day yesterday in very pleasant weather. Councillors, you have before you today's proposed agenda. Are there any additions, deletions, or other changes to be made to the agenda? Seeing nothing, may I have a motion, please, to approve the agenda for today's meeting as presented? Councillor Keller-Hrampe, thank you for that. All those in favor? There are none opposed. That is carried. And I said, Councillor Keller-Hrampe, are you deputy mayor as of yesterday? Well, thank you to Councillor Waxer for her service over the last 2 months, and welcome, Deputy Mayor Keller-Hrampe. Next on the agenda, we have 2 sets of minutes for approval, beginning with the minutes of the regular meeting of June 18th, 2024. Are there any errors, omissions, or corrections required to be made to those minutes? If not, may I have a motion, please, that council approve the minutes of the June 18, 2024 regular council meeting as presented? Thank you, Councillor Waxer. All those in favor? There are none opposed. That is carried. And similarly, then, with respect to the minutes of the Committee of the Whole meeting of June 25th, are there any errors, omissions, or corrections required to be made to those minutes? Councillor Melnick.
Thank you, Your Worship, and a very minor technical correction. As opposed to Deputy Mayor Ralph Melnick, it should be Acting Deputy Mayor in chairing that meeting.
Thank you for that. Former Acting Deputy Mayor Melnick. Councillor Waxer now takes that role. Thanks. Appreciate that. And may I take it then perhaps from you, Councillor Melnick, a motion to approve the minutes of the June 25th, 2024 Committee of the Whole meeting as adjusted?
I do so make that motion.
Thank you for that. All those in favor? There are none opposed. That is carried. That takes us to agenda item 4, delegations. We have no delegations on the agenda. We have one resident in the gallery who we've seen before, but if they wish to present on anything as a delegation, I would welcome them up, but I think I saw a shake of the head rather than a nod of the head. So thank you for joining us, as you often do. We will move to agenda item 5, correspondence. Again, there was no correspondence on the agenda and nothing which has come to light, I take it. Mr. Gibbon? Nothing that needs our attention in any event at this time, which takes us then to new business. We have before us for third reading the traffic safety bylaw amendment, being bylaw number 262. It has now received certification from Parks Canada, having previously received first and second reading from council. Is there a councillor prepared to make a motion that council read for the third time bylaw number 262, being a bylaw of the specialized municipality of Jasper in the province of Alberta, to amend bylaw number 244, the traffic safety bylaw? Deputy Mayor Keller-Hrampe, thank you for that motion to read for the third time. Any debate? I will call the question. All those in favor? There are none opposed. That is carried. Agenda item 6.2, the strategic facility plan that was before Committee of the Whole on June 25th and comes before council now by way of a recommendation from Committee of the Whole. Are there any outstanding questions from council to direct towards administration with respect to the strategic facility plan? Councillor Melnick.
Thank you, Your Worship. With our potential recommendation here, this is something that administration will consider for future changes to and improvements to our municipal infrastructure. But also, I imagine it'll affect our capital program for potentially 2025, maybe 2026, more likely down the road, 2026. I don't know if we'll be ready to do anything for the 2025 capital budget other than what's already planned. And CEO, given if you have a chance to maybe update us that way, because now that we've all had a chance to see the full plan, there are some implications there for the next year potentially.
Your worship, for Councillor Malik. So administration wouldn't see future capital plans having strategic priority, or sorry, strategic facility plan recommendation as a capital item. I think what we would do is, as we're recommending any capital items related to our facilities, we would identify whether they were referenced in the plan. So we'd be able to draw for council and the public just that connection to what you might see at budget time and how it relates to the plan. So it isn't so the municipality regularly undertakes capital projects on our facilities. The intent of the plan is to ensure that they're sort of all heading a direction in a cohesive, well thought out manner. And what we would do is, as we bring forward capital items, we would be able to reference for you. So I don't necessarily see it, the plan itself, as so much of a catalyst necessarily. We already knew that we had needs around facilities. The plan is intended to ensure that any expenditures that we make on our facilities or any recommendations that we bring to you for new expenditures are aligned with, and head of a certain direction. So in terms of administration's consideration, we would look and see if there are things that we hadn't already been considering. And if we did, then we would identify how they were aligned with this plan to you. And then they would go through the regular council approval process or consideration process for ultimately.
Thank you, appreciate that.
Thank you for that. Just to follow up, and perhaps it's repetitive, but just confirmation in that answer to Councillor Melnick, that a direction to administration at this time to consider the plan is not necessarily a direction to implement any recommendation that comes from the plan. That would come back to council in some form or another, particularly if there are budgetary implications.
Your worship, that's correct. And I would maybe say specifically if there are budget implications. There are certainly things the plan recommends with in terms, the organization of the operation and where staff are located. Many of those things are within administration's purview and don't have any direct budgetary implication. If there was a cost to changing anything, we needed to buy new desks to make a place work properly as recommended in the plan, then you would see the request for capital to support new desks, but not necessarily the request to move Sally's office from one building to another, if that makes sense. And then Sally is a generic employee name.
Thank you for that. Any other questions for administration? If not, I would look to a councillor to make a motion that council receive the strategic facility plan for information and direct administration to consider the plan. Councillor Waxer, that's your motion. Thank you very much. Is there any debate on that motion? I will call the question. All those in favor? There are none opposed. That is carried. Agenda item 6.3 is the 2024 Wayfinding Project. Again, that comes to council by way of recommendation from Committee of the Whole from its meeting from June 25th of this year. Are there any additional questions of councillors to be directed toward administration with respect to the Wayfinding Project and the award of the Wayfinding Project contract to a group of companies? If there are not, I again would look for a motion from a councillor for a motion that council award the 2024 Wayfinding Project to Burke Group of Companies Ltd. In the amount of $36,802.99. Deputy Mayor Keller-Harvey, thank you for that motion. Any debates? Call the question, all those, oh, I'm sorry, Councillor Miller.
Maybe not debate, but I would like to recognize the fact that the Fitzhugh, our local paper, had a good article. Totally explaining the Wayfinding Project, and I think we need to recognize that having a local paper, either virtually or in print, that brings discussions that we have here to the public is very important. It may be something that is not on a lot of people's minds, but it did put out in the community what council is intending to do and why we're intending to do it. And I'll just take the opportunity here to commend the Fitzhugh for their reporting.
Thank you for that. Councillor Miller. Can we go back to the question and call the question? All those in favor? There are none opposed. That is carried. Agenda item 7, notices of motion. We have not been provided with any notices of motion from any councillors for our review today, which takes us to councillor reports. Councillors for report. Deputy Mayor Keller-Harvey.
Last Friday, I attended the Trans-Canada Yellowhead Highway Association meeting through Zoom at 1 o'clock. We have 2 spaces left within Alberta for 2 directors. Tammy Strang from Edson has been appointed as a director at large. So our next meeting will be in October. We're working very closely with the Indigenous tourism, and the interactive map will be coming out soon with all the tourism on the Yellowhead from Winnipeg all the way to Vancouver. So that will be quite interesting. We're also working with hoping to be in partnership with Travel Alberta and BC Tourism and tourism success schedule tourism. So it's looking good for the future. You know, both the highway, the safety of the highway, and tourism. And on Friday night, I attended with yourself, Mayor, and Mr. Gibbon, the Alpine Summit Generator finale, and we raised our funds, and we're looking forward to having the generator in by fall, and then moving the generator from Alpine Summit in China.
Thank you for that report. Deputy Mayor Keller-Harvey. Other reports? Councillor Hall.
Thank you very much, Mayor Ireland, and congratulations to the Evergreens. That's great. That's great news. Question: how long did it take to raise the funds? Like, it's about a year.
Less than 8 months, probably. We really got off the ground with, you know, I'm going to be honest, it was council providing the first 5,000 that really sparked it in the community. We were seen as leaders to move forward, and a lot of our businesses matched what municipality put forward as part of the fundraising. And we had, of course, the big funders step up, and then, you know, the silent auction, the 50-50, and a lot of families donated as well. We have a couple of promises still waiting to come in, and then we'll publish exactly how much. Right now, we're well over 100 within the pot, but the generator itself cost 126,000, and then Evergreen with the Alberta government will do all the engineering, the installation, and then they'll also transfer the Evergreen or the generator that's there now over to Bylaw. So it was very successful. So yeah, within 6 months we raised it. I would say most of it was in the last 4.
That's really great news. Yeah, congratulations to you, the team at Evergreens and all the locals and
Yeah, it
residents
was,
that,
you know, our manager of Alpine Summit, Mr. Sony was the driving force, but we had an awesome committee, and it was a very small committee, but everybody worked well together and diligently. And, you know, the community really stepped up. Those that weren't able to donate in funding, we donated prizes for our auction, and Via Rail really stepped up. They gave us 2 fantastic trips to Fringe for auction.
that's really great. That's great. Awesome. I will have a few reports as well. This morning, the legislative committee met. We are working through part 6 of our procedure bylaw. We had a lot of conversation around motions. I'm very excited to bring that to you guys. And yesterday morning, all of us took part in the Canada pancake breakfast, slipping pancakes and handing out sausages. And I feel like the number of attendants was maybe 1,000. So we were great. And that's all I have.
Councillor Watson?
Last Friday, I had a Communities in Bloom meeting, and the committee is working really well together on preparation for the Community in Bloom judges to come September 4th, I believe. And there's a few more steps, but I very much appreciate working with this group of local residents and representatives of the chamber. Representatives of the chamber and Joyce and Jasmine and Parks. It's good. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Nothing from Councillor Melnick. I will simply confirm that last week, I think it was Tuesday, because I had to absent myself from our meetings, but I attended graduation for École de Rocher. They had 3 graduates this year, and a very large crowd present to congratulate them. And then on Thursday, I attended the graduation ceremonies for the Jasper Junior Senior High School. They had 33 grads this year, and again, a full house. Compliments to the RCMP for showing up in red shirts, just to add decorum and dignity to the proceedings. We've got a couple of great grads. I think that they got very good weather for that evening, whatever the plans they had been, but that's the way it goes. I did attend, as Deputy Mayor Keller indicated, the dinner at the Alpine Summit on Friday evening, and I just want to take an opportunity to congratulate the residents. I appreciate that Evergreens put it on with some assistance, I think, from other sources, including Jasper Park Lodge, but the residents were so proud to host the community in their facility. It was really a wonderful evening, and I have to compliment as well Kristen Chambers, who spoke on behalf of Evergreens. And in addition to thanking the community for fundraising efforts, let it be known in really clear language that that facility will reciprocate, and if the community is in need and it has a generator, it will be able to offer services back to the extent it can. And I thought that was a really kind gesture on her behalf to recognize that. So quite a wonderful evening there, and congratulations on the fundraising. It has been significant. Yesterday, of course, Canada Day, I compliment our staff for organizing fun flag raising in a new location, so we were able to use the new flagpole at the Emergency Services Building. Not necessarily the optimum place for a flag raising, but Bylaw and I presume operations did a great job of closing off traffic so that the crowd could spill out onto Mayette, which was closed for the occasion. And I did have an opportunity to speak to the superintendent about the use of Athabasca Park in future again, if we're not in a position to do the same at commemoration park. Operationally, it was a good day for us, but some good news, I think, for the future for that as well. Crowd not as big as it has been in other years, but we had a good selection of locals and visitors. Some of them come up to thank me afterwards for just being able to participate in an event like that in the small town. They really do appreciate that connection to the town that they're visiting. So it was wonderful to be able to provide that opportunity. And again, the parade, from my perspective, seemed to work well. I don't know what was unfolding behind me, but people all seem to be smiling. So a good day for it. If there are no further reports, upcoming events, not much on tap now after this busy last week or so. Council does have a scheduled break for the last meeting of this month and first meeting of August. So Councillors, if you haven't made plans yet, this is one of your few opportunities. And a Christmas party in July at the CN station. So, CN. Are there any other upcoming events of which council should be made aware? Councillor Miller?
Just one thing that normally we would have on our calendar, I believe we have an intergovernmental meeting with Parks Canada, tentatively scheduled for Tuesday, the 16th of July, unless that's been changed.
Was that a confirming nod, Mr. Gibbon?
That was a nod that it has not been changed. So,
Thank you, Councillor Miller. Anything else?
I just see a note in my calendar that property taxes are due on July 15th. We actually only collect our property taxes in the middle of July, whereas I believe Banff requires their property taxes to be collected by the beginning of July. So our residents get an extra 14 days prior to having to pay their property taxes.
Well, thank you for pointing that out. If there is nothing further, that takes us to agenda item 10. I see no further business on the agenda. So if there was a councillor prepared to make a motion, as has been done by Councillor Hall, that there be no further business, this meeting be adjourned at 1:52 p.m. All in favor? There are none opposed. We've already lost our audience. All right. Thank you for those who did tune in or might watch later on YouTube. Councillors, it is summertime. I'm sure everybody's exhausted from yesterday, so well and relax and enjoy, and see you back here in 1 week. Thank you all.